Of course, the South African Council of Churches has also spoken out. They said they found the press release of the South African Reserve Bank's investigation into the Phala Phala matter confusing. The council says it's inspired more questions than answers. But for more on this, we are now joined by Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, who of course is the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. Bishop, good morning to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I think let's start here. Once that press release came out yesterday, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, we had a flood of questions from church leaders to try and explain. Of course, we don't have any greater wisdom on this than every other South African. The main questions were, what does it mean? Does it mean that anybody can hold that kind of money without having to declare it? What was the Reserve Bank actually investigating? Were they investigating that there was a sale, or which was concluded or not concluded, or were they investigating whether there was any transgression in holding the money for a period of time without declaring it? Do they know how the money came to the country and what it was intended for? Do they, then they go on to say that the president's company has no entitlement to the money. What does entitlement actually mean? Whose money was it then? Who is entitled to it? And so what does this all mean? Maybe these are technical terms we don't understand. We'd like to see the report. And if it will go to Parliament, we would hope that it will be very open for all of us to understand.
Yeah, Bishop, I mean, this is what they've said. There was no perfected transaction, and thus the SARB cannot conclude that there was any contravention of the exchange control regulations. Why was it important for you as the Council of Churches, as religious leaders then, to speak out on the matter? Is this a matter of integrity in your view?
Oh, absolutely. Remember that we have a lot of stake in government's ability to hold everybody in the country accountable. And therefore, it is, I mean, we did say, remember that we said this last year when this matter came up, we said, we will look to the investigations because this matter is very important for creating a culture of transparency, accountability, and that which militates against the possibility of corruption in our society of any nature. And so we wanted to see how all these investigative authorities would end up. You know what? We're still waiting for the police report. But this particular one is very simple. It's about saying, was there money that shouldn't have been kept for a period of time? It's not even talking about, it's not the same as the public protector. It's not saying did he break parliamentary rules. It's totally different. It's about whether this money was supposed to be kept for the period of time or not. Maybe when they go to Parliament, they'll explain that. That's why it's of interest to us.
Yeah, I mean, what are the key questions that, I mean, you talk about some of those issues, and I suppose you've already just asked them. But then maybe let me get into this then, Bishop, because there is the fact that at this moment, at this minute in this country, we are preparing ourselves to host 51 nations of the world in the BRICS summit. Is it a concern for you that this is now the kind of conversation that we're having, really, while the world is visiting us and watching?
Well, I have to say that the timing is not very helpful for the country. I wouldn't expect the president to be dealing with this in his mind at a time such as this. But it is what it is. That's when it came out.
Yeah. What would you like to see happen now, Bishop?
I would like to see, first of all, I would really love to see the report published. But I also, I mean, one church leader was asking this question, why is this one not public? And I was saying, I don't know, maybe it might be because this is not a Chapter 9 institution, and that perhaps, the matters of the Reserve Bank are kept and managed differently in the public arena than, but it is a matter of such huge public interest. But then I said, well, let's look to Parliament where it will go and see that it will come out in full. But it really would have been so much better if the full report came to the public right now.
Yeah. Bishop, an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I imagine we'll be engaging on this and other matters some more in the future. Always do appreciate your time. Thank you so much. That there, of course, Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, who's the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches, speaking on the Reserve Bank report that seemingly cleared President Cyril Ramaphosa on the Phala Phala saga. And of course, the report not available to the public, but we saw the release, the press release from the Reserve Bank yesterday.